So, today we're going to crack one of history's greatest codes. We're going to pull back the curtain on those beautiful, sometimes kind of strange symbols the ancient Egyptians left behind, and figure out how to actually read them.
Okay, take a good look at this. It's beautiful, right? Super intricate. But let's be honest, it also looks like complete gibberish. It probably just seems like a random jumble of birds and boxes and squiggly lines.
Well, here's my promise to you. You stick with me for just the next few minutes, and not only will this stop being gibberish, you're going to know exactly what this means. You're going to learn how to read it.
Our journey really begins with promises that were literally etched in stone. You know, a lot of what we can even read today comes from tombs, like this inscription from the tomb of a governor named Metgen. This isn't just some fancy decoration, it's his life story. And as it turns out, it's the oldest known biography in the entire world. We're talking 2600 BC. Just incredible.
And to really get your head around that timeline, check out this fact. It is an absolute mind-bender. The famous Cleopatra, she lived closer in time to the invention of the air fryer than she did to when the Great Pyramid at Giza was built. Yeah, ancient Egypt was ancient even to the ancient Egyptians.
Okay, before we dive deeper, let's get one little bit of terminology straight, so you can sound like you really know your stuff. We often say hieroglyphics, but as the world authority Ilona Regulski points out, the correct word for the symbols themselves is hieroglyphs. It literally means sacred carving. Hieroglyphic is the adjective, like when you say hieroglyphic writing. It's a small detail, but a good one to know.
All right, so you're standing in front of a wall covered in these sacred carvings. Your first thought is probably, okay, where on earth do I even begin reading? And that is the perfect question, because figuring out the direction is the very first puzzle you have to solve.
Well, luckily for us, there's this super simple 3-step rule. First, you always read from top to bottom. Easy enough. Second, you look for any signs that have a front and a back, like people or animals. And here's the secret sauce. You always read towards their faces. They are always looking towards the beginning of the text. So if the birds are facing left, you start on the left. If they're facing right, you start on the right. Simple as that.
All right, so we know which way to read. Now we need the actual toolkit to crack the code. And the biggest thing to get is that hieroglyphs aren't just an A to Z alphabet. The whole system is this really clever mix of 3 different kinds of signs all working together.
First up, you've got logograms, and these are the super easy ones. The picture is the word. A drawing of an arm literally just means arm. Then you have phonograms, where the sign stands for a sound, kind of like a letter in our alphabet. And finally, there are classifiers. These are silent signs you stick at the end of a word to give you a little clue about its meaning.
Let's zoom in on those phonograms, though, because this is where things get really, really clever. While some of the signs do stand for a single sound, just like our letters, other signs can pack 2 or even 3 consonant sounds into just one symbol.
So let's take a look at a little cheat sheet of some common single sound signs. See that wavy line for water? That makes an N sound. The leg is a B. That loaf of bread is a T. The horned viper? That's an F. And the owl is an M. You see? All of a sudden, they stop being just pictures and start becoming the actual building blocks of words.
Now let's jump over to classifiers because this is one of the most brilliant parts of the whole system. Okay, think about it this way. Imagine in English we just wrote the letters B-O-W. How would you know if I meant a bow and arrow or a bow on a gift? Well, the Egyptians solved this. They would just add a silent little picture at the end, a weapon icon for one and a little clothing icon for the other. It's this little visual clue that just wipes out any confusion. It's genius, right?
And here's how that plays out in a real Egyptian word. The phonetic signs for the sounds sesh could mean a few different things. But if you add the classifier of a little seated man at the end, it specifically means scribe. If you add the classifier of a rolled-up papyrus scroll, it means book. See? That classifier gives you all the context you need.
Okay, so we've got our direction, we've got our types of signs. Now for just a few little quirks of the system. I like to think of these as the rules of the game that make hieroglyphic writing so unique.
First off, it's a total vowel-free zone. They only wrote down the consonants. Any E's you see in names like Medjen? Egyptologists just added those so we can actually pronounce the words. Next up, plurals. To make a word plural, they'd either just repeat the sign 3 times or they'd add a special quail chick sign plus 3 little dashes. And last but not least, no punctuation at all. No periods, no commas. You just had to feel the flow of the text.
Okay, the moment has come.
You've learned the rules, you've got the toolkit, it is time for the payoff. Let's go all the way back to that gibberish from the beginning and actually solve this puzzle together.
Let's break this down piece by piece. First, direction. All the figures are facing to the left, so we're going to start reading from the left, top to bottom. That first sign, the reed leaf, that stands for a sound we write as I. Right below it is that wavy line for water, which we know is an N. Okay, moving over to the next column, we've got the stool, which makes a P sound. And below that is the quail chick. Now, since it's not at the very end, we know it's not a classifier, it's here for its oo sound. So, let's sound it out. We have I, N, P, oo. Inpu.
But wait, what about that big sign at the end? The jackal on the shrine? Well, that is our classifier. It's a silent symbol that tells us the word Inpu refers to a god. That's right, the ancient Egyptians actually called him Inpu. The name we all know, Anubis, well, that actually comes to us from the Greeks. They just adapted his name for their own language.
And just like that, we did it. You just successfully decoded those hieroglyphs and read the true, ancient Egyptian name for the god of the underworld. It wasn't so mysterious after all, was it?
Now, as amazing as this is, it's really important to remember that this is a living, breathing field of study. As the expert Ilona Rogilski puts it, we still cannot read everything fluently, perfectly. We are still working every day to try to understand. It's just a powerful reminder that the work of understanding the past is never really finished.
Think about it. We just opened a tiny window into a language that's over 4,000 years old. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other ancient codes and lost languages are still out there, just waiting to be cracked?